Hello.
Hello! Welcome to the Soul Search with Jane and Polly.
And we've got our special guest this week. In case anyone's missed us, we did say last time we was on, this will be fortnightly now. These shows are going to be fortnightly. We're very busy people and we need our rest time. But this week, our special guest is the lovely Sarah. Do you want to introduce yourself, Sarah?
Hello. Hi, I'm Sarah, and I stumbled into energy work through hypnosis, the QHHT hypnosis, actually. By training, I'm an accountant, so I'm very analytical and far from the energy work. And so I just kind of fell into it. A friend had told me about it, and in researching that, I realized that there can be a lot of healing done through energy work. I had a friend that was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma and thought, I will go take this hypnosis class to learn how to do it to see if I could help. So that started my journey, and I was just amazed with all of the results I was seeing on an analytical, pragmatic side.
Yeah.
Kind of went in with
So,
curiosity.
For anyone that's watching that might not understand what is it? I can't even say it.
QHHT. It's past life regression. It's quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Yeah, because the people will ask and they go, what's it mean? Because even when we do our spirit release work and we say RSR, they sort of go, what?
What is that?
Yeah, people need to know. Last time we were on, we talked about regression, we talked about hypnosis, we had some hypnosis on, and we talked about some of the work we do in our spirit release work. So we covered a lot of past life. So we thought we'd have the lovely Sarah on this time because we all met nearly 2 years ago in May when we all went and trained in our spirit release work, which is when we all came together in one, say, big room. But it was quite a cozy little place we all stayed, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
And obviously, Sarah, you're not from England. I think people might work that out as well. Tell them a little bit where you're from.
I'm in Arizona in the United States. I grew up in Minnesota in the Midwest and lived in California for a while, but I've been in Arizona for a long time. So yes, I flew to England for the class that we all took, and it was really amazing and life-changing. And that's when I realized all the work I was doing in the hypnosis was really setting me up perfectly for the spirit release work that we did. Working as the practitioner or facilitator helped me when we went into these sessions to be ready to ask the right questions and recognize things where we can dive down deeper and get more answers on things.
Yeah.
And then all the past life pops up as well, and we can clear.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it, how work you've done previously is literally a stepping stone, let's say, into where you end up going.
You can see it was all planned out and we had no idea. And the other interesting thing, I've done a lot of work in animal rescue. So I spent a lot of time working in animal rescue. And then now that part has come in as well is through the clearings. Polly and I have dove into doing animal clearings. And it's similar to doing the hypnosis, but there's a third party, which is Polly, who connects to the energy of the animals. And then we can also do the same type of work with healing and past life with animals. And that has just been mind-blowing.
Before we went live, we were just mentioning that because obviously this is what Polly and Sarah's been doing for a while now. And obviously for anyone that probably has heard us mention spirit release just once or twice, and I know a lot of our development group and people that have come to us have certainly heard about spirit release now. But for anyone that's watching that's new and doesn't know what spirit release is, it is where you have a medium and a facilitator, and the medium goes down in trance state and the facilitator facilitates what needs to be done. So it's done in a very controlled zone. It's very well thought out and it's very safe. It is a safe practice and it's done remotely, which makes people think that's even stranger. And like we said, 2 years ago, we nearly all met. We all came together. And despite the fact it was in England, but up Wiltshire way from where me and Polly are, there was a lot of other people there that were not English. So me and Polly were a little bit out of our own comfort zone.
We were in the minority.
We was in the minority, but we soon made it the majority because we got everyone doing naughty, silly things at the end of the day, didn't we? With our sense of humour. But it was a really informative week. I remember on my first day, I don't know what I was doing there. I kept saying, "What am I doing here?" I kept saying to Polly, "I don't even know why I'm coming. What have I d—" And it wasn't a cheap course by any means. And I remember by lunchtime on that first day, I was buzzing and thinking, "Oh yeah, I know why I'm here." So how was your first day, Sarah, when you I mean, like you said, you flew over, you come, quite a journey for you. Some people, I think, arrived right on the day, didn't they? And literally had to go straight into class. How did you feel that first day when we all sat there wondering what the hell we were getting ourselves into?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know. I was, yeah, just so excited. It was like you could just feel the energy in the room. And when we first arrived to the place, all the alarms were going off. So it was really funny. As each person arrived, the alarms would go off, the fire alarms would go off. So it was like the energy was
That was
everywhere.
pre-warning that we were on our way.
Yeah, it was. It was
Sirens.
hilarious. It was like a welcome. So, right.
It was really interesting, wasn't it? Because obviously I went with Jane, and Jane, and we obviously know each other very well, and so we sort of had each other. But had you come over by yourself?
Yeah, I did, but a couple of us had coordinated before to meet in the airport. And so that was kind of fun. And we took a car together, but we had never met. Yeah, I didn't know anybody. And now, continually converse with most of the people,
And I
really.
that is the great bit about it. I mean, that was the lovely Nicole and Jenny, wasn't it? That you
Mm-hmm.
wrote, and we all used to sit in our little bits, didn't we, for our meals and that. But it is funny, isn't it, how we were all so different and came from lots of different reasons. And at the time, not as many mediums as there was facilitators, but that's changed as the academy's grown. There's more and more mediums coming through the door. And it was interesting how we have still, those 2 years on, we have still connected with people and continue to connect with people. And it is like a family. And even if you don't speak for weeks or months, you know there's someone there if you want to work with them. Because we were all so personal and we were in an in-house course, we got to know each other quite quickly because we had to, especially when we
Mhm.
especially when we started working. And my first experience as well of that was when we started doing the practical work, how intense it was as a medium, because it was like, oh God, it was like speed. When we do psychic suppers, which is when we do our tarot reading, it's a little bit like speed readings where the bell goes and they've got to go out and you do somebody else. But when we had to start doing the trance work as a medium, Polly's been doing trance for years. I haven't. And I was like, wow, this is literally, it was exhilarating, but it was also exhausted. So by the end of that second day, I was absolutely thinking, and I remember when we was in the library, I always laugh about the hotel. The hotel was quite old fashioned, wasn't it? It was like an old farmhouse converted. And they had a library. It was like playing Cluedo. And I was in the library working with the lovely Matt, and you'd come in to work with me. And I literally couldn't even, I thought, I don't want to do this. And I got up and went, I'm not doing this, and walked away. Poor Sarah's like, oh, I thought I was working. And very quickly, I worked out why I couldn't do it and had to go and get myself assessed. So it was a really interesting course for a medium to learn about my mediumship skills and my trance skills. But for a facilitator, you must have worked with some very quirky, strange mediums on the week. And especially Polly's guide, because everyone queues up to work with Polly's guide.
Well, it was so funny because I had the similar thing with Polly when I went to, when it was my turn to work with her too. She had the same thing and wasn't feeling well. And they teach us as practitioners that we need to watch out for the medium, number one. And I was like, no, I don't think you can do this. I think you need to take a break. But of course, we're
Yeah.
trying to get as many in as we can. And I'm like, you just need to take a break. And then that's when they moved me to you, Jane. So it was hilarious.
Right. But it's funny. Polly think we're twins. We've been separated, even though I'm older than her. We think somewhere along the line in another galaxy, we are clearly related or been split in two or something, because we can think the same. We can have the same thoughts when we're in the car together, even before we go on to work. I mean, we do work a lot together, but we also do a lot of work separately. So we're not joined at the hip, despite what people think. But we tend to have those same thoughts. And when we went back to our room that night and found out both of us had pretty much gone, go away, Sarah, we can't go. It what poor Sarah, but we both realised why. And it was, and like I said, Polly's been doing trance. How many years, Polly? 23, 25 years. I'd only been doing it a couple of years. It was intense work. It was intense work for all of us, but it was fun. And at the end of it, we all came out with qualifications. And here we
So
are.
Yeah, I was just going to add just a little bit more to anybody out there who is first time watching and has never heard of remote spirit release. So Jane has explained obviously earlier, but to what we can clear from somebody is actually really quite interesting, isn't it? Because the facilitator is taking the medium and the guide through like a vast and intense protocol of questions and things, areas and energies, etc., that they could be finding on somebody that is actually physically and mentally holding them back from moving forward in their life. So, and obviously the same with animals, they're obviously beautiful, energetic beings. And like we said, and me and Sarah have been doing a lot of animal work as well. There is obviously slight differences because animals are working on much higher vibration than a person. But, there's all sorts of things that could stop a person moving forward spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And not just when we talk about spirit release, instantly you might think about spiritual attachments or negative spiritual attachments. There's also negative energy, which could have been, from your environment. It could have been from, other people, their negative energy. And if you're living with negative people, for example, or situations, and there's negative chords where you are emotionally or what have you spiritually attached to things. Again, doesn't have to be another person, does it? It can be a situation. There could be karmic cords. There can be past life issues, past life trauma, negative thoughts forms. And there's a myriad of things that we could be finding, or the guide can be finding, locating, and then removing, which actually does then lift your energy, repairs your energy, and then assists you in going forward in your life. So if anybody watching is interested in finding out more about remote spirit release, you can just go about your everyday life as we work. We get on with it, and then you basically will receive afterwards, day or so afterwards, a full report of what's found. And additionally, if you're worried about your pet, with me and Sarah have worked upon horses, we've worked on cats, we've worked on dogs. Before I did all this, and I was working as a animal communicator and healer, along with all the other things that I do. I mean, I've worked with birds, I've worked with a tortoise, I've not worked with a snake or anything like that. But again, if there's been any issues or problems around a pet, I mean, if a pet had, for example, come from like a rescue situation, like Sarah said, I mean, that poor dog, cat, or horse, or whatever animal it is that you want us to work on, can have negative chords to their life before they end up in their safe place or forever home. They could have also had trauma from being in a rescue, couldn't they? Like a rescue facility, for example. It could be that they've got like sadness chords, emotional chords that have been to, like, for example, if their loved one, their owner had passed away, and they've still got that love chord and that emotional chord, and perhaps a lack of understanding about what's happened to their owner. Thought I'd throw it out there now and explain a little bit more. If any of you out there are interested in finding out more, we will link Sarah into the comments as well when we've finished this. And obviously, you perhaps know me and Jane already, so please do reach out if you would like to find out more. We're not pushing you into anything. It's just that if you'd like to learn more about it, or if you're interested in actually having this done for yourself.
Yeah. Before we move on, because obviously I'm fascinated in the work that you and Sarah have been doing, so we can find out about that. Obviously, you've just said you've covered quite a lot of it. I was being a bit cagey with it because I'm always a bit cagey with the protocol. A lot of people used to think we were like modern day exorcisms. Yes, we remove other things, but a lot of our day-to-day life, like Polly said, is a lot of just things that happen to us that can bring us down and attach cords. It's not always about horrible little things attached to us that you see on telly. Not everything's always about that. We also clear homes. That's something we've been moving along with as well quite a bit, because more and more people, they're moving, or they feel there's been a shift in dynamics of a relationship and they want the home cleansed and cleared. And we've been doing that. But the one thing that we have come up against before, like I said, we did this before we talk about the animals, there's a lot of people out there saying they can do this work and they've had no training. They've had no background. Like Sarah, you were a hypnotherapist. I was a healer and a practitioner in other stuff, as was Polly, but we are the medium. So we were already experience as a medium, but we still learn stuff. And there's people going out there saying they can do it. They can clear houses, they can remove spirits, they can remove earthbounds, they can do all sorts of things. Be careful when you are looking for any kind of work. I had a friend come to me the other day. She's had a priest around her house before. That is what people used to do years ago. But make sure you're not just bringing any psychic or medium or healing or energy healer in your home or in your life to do things without proper background checks, because it's not something everyone can do, and it's not something you should be doing lightly. So that's just a little a pre-warning. If you don't want to come with me and Polly or Sarah or anyone else that's attached to the academy that we are, that's fine, but do your homework. So on a nice lighter note, you two have been working behind the scenes on animals. And like you said, you're an animal communicator. Sarah's worked in rescues. I'm an animal communicator. I've cleared your dog, Polly, but I haven't cleared any other animals. So this is, I gave Bella a little clearing the other day, bless her. How is she?
I'm still hobbling, but not quite as bad. But
I've
still
tried my
hobbling.
best. Clearly, I need more practice. But yeah, but you two, tell me, because like I said, one of the things that we found really fascinating in our last show with Sarah DuPont was the past life regression stuff and the fact that we cover past lives in this work. So as an animal, and I asked this question earlier, didn't I? I was interested in the animal's past lives because we get, as psychic mediums, we get a lot of questions about, oh, will I come back as a dog, or will I come back as a cat, or is my dog going to be there waiting for me when I pass over? And there's such a lot of different beliefs about the animal kingdom and the human kingdom where souls go. I am really fascinated, one, about the dogs or any animal, because you've been working on horses, which I know you've got as pets, Sarah. But where do they go? And what about
Well,
their past lives? Come on, give it.
I can tell you now that before Sarah gives us some lovely, because like I said, me and Sarah have worked a lot together. And Sarah, you can give a few examples, because I was not conscious at the time, so it would probably be a better idea. You explained about some of the interesting ones, but I do not believe in any capacity that a human and an animal would cross over and be, an animal stays an animal that's what Maya's told me, my guide. A person stays in a person. A person can reincarnate into another male or a female or what have you, or non-binary, I guess, anything, right? But because the way Maya's explained it to me, that animals are so high vibrational, they wouldn't necessarily be in the same league as a person, right? As in, energetically, they're not in the same league. I'm not going to say that if you've been told at home that your mum is now your border collie, right? I'm not going to say that, because if that's what they believe, that's what they believe, right? But I don't believe it. I don't believe that is physically, energetically possible. But that's my interpretation from my guide.
I'm just asking this. Could a spirit, though, a normal spirit like we work with, come through and just slightly use their energy towards an animal that's still living, just so that you're aware? Yes, because I've sometimes felt that my dog's been gone nearly a year now, bless him, but I used to think sometimes my nan was staring back at me at times. I used to think, all right, don't do that. But I obviously, like you, I agree. The animal world is one place and a human is another because of their vibration. But I often wonder how that, we know spirits are energy, so they can slightly move things around. And I have often felt like a loved one is staring back at me through my animals.
I definitely feel like as though they can jump into an animal temporarily to be a sign. I definitely feel, because I've had it before, where people have come through and their dog has come through and the cat's come through, that has passed away. But even if it's just for that moment to give that person some comfort, that's how they've done it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And obviously, like you said, we've done demos together and we've both brought animals through. We've brought animals through and given messages for their loved ones. So, Sarah, give us some stories.
Where to start? There's so many. We could talk for days. There have been a few times where we're doing the clearings on the animals where the animal will say that they see a loved one in the clearing and they'll bring through messages, which is kind of interesting side note during the clearing. So maybe that's some of the energy you're picking up on when you feel your Nana, because that definitely has happened. And then past lives, interesting thing that I found is the animals can have emotional and physical effects in this life from things that happened in the prior lives. We've seen that happen with several horses where they had injuries as various types of war horses. There was one, a jousting horse, there was a Apache war horse, there was another more traditional type war horse. In a past life, these horses died. One was an arrow, a lance, different things like that. And in this life, they have physical limitations in those areas where the arrow went through or whatnot, which is kind of mind blowing. And in the clearings, we're able to clear that. They also are remembering that. And why does that sometimes pass on into the new incarnation? I don't know. I need to ask that question, but I do know that that's something that we can clear, and it's something that's inhibiting their life now, or minimizing it. And their performance. So
So
a lot of the horses.
would
Oh,
a
go ahead.
horse come back as a horse and a dog come back as a dog? Do they don't do they come back the same?
So far, that's all I've been
That was really
seeing. I've been
interest.
seeing
Yeah,
them progress, which the progression is really interesting because I've seen them be animals that we use, that humans use. And pretty much all of the issues I'm finding with the animals are due to interactions with humans. And so I feel very blessed that through these clearings, we can help clear that. It's something our humanity has created in them, and we can clear it for them.
Haven't we had before? Because we usually have a little chat after, don't we? I'm sure one or two have been connected to their caregiver
Yes, that was the
in a
next thing I was going to
previous life.
say, which is so beautiful. We've had several animals reincarnate with, or in the animal or the energy clearings, they've said they have chosen to reincarnate with a person that they had a previous incarnation with, and would tell the story of it. We've had several dogs where that's been the case. And then actually one of my horses had said it was in a previous life with me, and actually gave the name and the location. And I was able to look up and validate a little bit of it, which was really mind blowing.
So, like the human side, when we do past lives in humans, we've done people in our country, in England, but they've had lives in America. We've actually done one in Arizona, Polly. We've actually had someone that lived in Arizona. We've had
Okay.
people live in Egypt. So, can an animal, when you're bringing them and doing that, they've lived in other places in the world as well. They haven't just lived in that one.
Correct.
So they're doing exactly the same as us, but they've just got a much higher vibration. So they don't get attachments, do they?
Well, that's a really interesting question. General, it's very unlikely because there's such high vibration. And that's one of the things in the beginning when we talked about doing these energy clearings on animals. A lot of people thought it'd be pointless because they're so high vibration. And that does come up all the time, that they're so high vibration. But there are some situations where they can be affected, but not anywhere near like how people are. But mostly they have past life things or current life traumas that we can also clear. They'll have interdimensional parasites, which is another interesting thing to explain. It's just a bit of an energy that we can clear, that's causing issues with them physically. And one of the things that I find to be the most beneficial of these energy clearings is we can do physical optimization for them as well. And we can help their physical body work through things, which is kind of mind blowing. Some of it is from clearing some of these other energies, these non-beneficial energies that are affecting them, but we can help them. Supportive with veterinary care, never in lieu of.
No.
But anytime if my dog needs surgery, I'll do the energy clearings before and
Yeah.
after to help
But then
support it.
that's the same as the of people. We don't
Just like the people,
we don't
right?
stress that we've totally, yeah, there is still times that the aftercare, I mean, how do you give a dog or a horse or something aftercare? But the aftercare with people is follow this, look after yourself. And sometimes we recommend therapy, hypnotherapy, healing. We recommend something to continue working on themselves and helping themselves, working on their home. So how do you, I mean, obviously you're working with the owners of these pets. What do you give the same sort of aftercare and say, carry
I think it would
take the
depend
dog on
what
the
it
way to
was
bed?
really, wouldn't it? Because, I mean, for example, in a normal animal communication session, which has got obviously not a spirit release session, I might say that I feel like, I don't know, crystals or I'll show them how to energetically heal their chakra, for example, chakra system. I would like to show people how to do something because really, I don't want it that somebody has to come out or like I have to, having to pay me to do something. I'm no businesswoman here. But I would prefer that owner to be able to know how to work on them, if that makes sense. So, for example, it might be that the aftercare was, this is what you need to do with your, even though I'd be in trance, for example, this is what you need to do with your pet to optimize the healing or to continue the healing. It might be that something comes out that this is just, I'll go on to this subject actually, but it's come out before, hasn't it? That we're doing this clearing and then the animal starts talking to Maya and giving a message to the owner of what needs to be done, which is really quite funny, or something that's coming up. And on that note, tell Jane and obviously everyone else the story about the kitten.
It's such a beautiful thing. Yes, one of my dogs has learned that she can communicate to us through this, and she'll let me know that she has something to say. And so in the clearings, and in the energy clearings, she'll bring things up constantly. And she had been laying by the door, acting really strange, just laying by the front door. She wouldn't want to go in the backyard. She wouldn't want to do any of her normal things. She just laid by the front door. So I asked in the energy clearing about it. And she tells Maya, she's hearing kittens. We had a cat that insisted on living outdoors. We tried to keep him inside, but he insisted on living outdoors, and he lived there, but he had passed away a few months before. So I said, is it our cat that's passed away communicating? And she's like, no, I think they're wild cats. I'm like, wild cats? Okay. And so, I'm like, is there anything we need to know? And she's like, well, she would quite like a kitten. And I'm like, a kitten? The dog wants a kitten? Yes, she'd quite like a kitten, and it will come when it's ready. And so I was like, okay. I put food out because I still had some food. I put food out. By the morning, it was gone, completely gone. And so then I put a camera out. Sure enough, there were some feral cats that had been coming to the door or coming to the area and hanging out. And then, so this was in May of last year. And then in October, one of the cats brought me a kitten. So it was completely true. So, yeah, interestingly, now we have this kitten. And when I brought the kitten in the house too, I was so unsure if it was the right thing to do, right? You never know. Are you supposed to?
Been out in the mum of them been out in the wild, you don't know what you're doing.
Right. But I felt like, the mom was telling me to take the kitten. So I scheduled another energy clearing for the kitten, and it came in and said it wants to be called Honey. And so that's her name, Honey. And then the mom popped in immediately. And the mom said, I just want to tell you, I have not had an easy life, and I want my kitten to have a better life. And so that's why she brought her.
Wow.
Which is so beautiful. Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm chatting to Sarah after a clearing or before the clearing, all you can hear is Sarah going, ooh, ooh, and the kitten's just jumping in front of the camera.
And again, I know, people are still, like I said, people are still getting their head around some of this work that we do, the spirit release, and even with human beings. But not everyone's going to get the animal side because not everyone's an animal lover, unfortunately.
Is that not a thing?
But yeah, but it is, isn't it? And so people are like, well, animals, but animals are part of our family. We're all animal lovers. The three of us are animal lovers, and they are part of the family. And if you are worried when you're clearing a house or clearing a person, you want to make sure and check that animal's okay as well, even if their vibration is high. So another interesting question: we know apparently, so I don't know if it's written in stone, that we all have around of an average of 200 lifetimes. We don't know if that's true or not. We haven't actually asked that question of Maya or Merlin when we've been in trance. But do animals have the same experiences like that? Because I don't
think we've ever asked that, have we?
Wow. could you ask that next time you both do one? Because out of curiosity, I think as humans, we probably have all those lives because, boy, have we got some lessons to learn. But do animals have as many? Yeah, and again, this is all to do with what you believe spiritually, but a lot of the belief is that the karmic is that we have these lessons to learn. And every time we pass, we go back and we pick another lesson and we go back and learn it. As animals, because they are generally very loving creatures with, they love you unconditionally if they're taken care of, their vibration is higher. So, as animals, do you think they don't need as many past lives as us? Or are, like you said, because of their connection to their caregivers, do they only have those lives because of the caregivers bringing them back with them? Could you ask
That's
that
so
question?
interesting.
Yeah,
So I've never heard that people have 200. I haven't run
it's an
into that.
average. It's just an average
Yeah.
thing they
What
say, but
what I
do,
have seen is souls come in for different purposes. And there's a lot of the star seeds coming in that are coming in not to go through the whole gamut of Earth incarnations to learn all the things, but to come in because of the change in the energy here now. So I would think that the number of incarnations depends on the ultimate purpose of the soul coming in. But I would guess that the animals would be less because they're not as many things as humans have, like we've
Yeah, and
found.
it's
they haven't
different.
got as many issues as us. That's what I have.
I
Yes.
mean, there's animal things that perhaps we do in our animalistic way because, if we come from apes, you know what I mean, or what have you, you know what I mean. There's animal instinct, so we have that fight or flight, and we have this, and we have that. Certain animals, especially pets, will have that need and bond with their caregivers, for example. But I mean, we look at all sorts of different animals. Birds do their thing, don't they? And they can live in flocks or they can live individually, depending on what sort of bird they are. Some birds mate for life, some don't. Some are what do you call it? Some are polygamists. They like to, anywhere, anytime, with anything. But I, I feel that like
We are
wild
talking about the
animals.
feathered type, aren't we?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about wild, like wild animals and any animal really. I mean, you think about the way they deal with things to a degree. Yes, they can have behavior problems, a horse, a pet, a dog, or what have you. But again, if you think about the nature, there's the fight and flight. They can get scared, they can get nervous, they can be abused usually by human beings, right? And that's where a lot of the issues will come in. But lots of animals, you think about a cat being hit by a car, that cat is going to go and crawl under a bush and it's going to die, likely. Does that make sense? And they don't need, in that sort of way, perhaps that human interaction because naturally they know perhaps that they're going to die. So they go and find somewhere quiet to do that. Obviously, if you have a dog, or if you have multiple dogs, or you have multiple horses, and you have, they do get bond. They bond together, and they will have those feelings of loss. But a lot of animals in the wild will just go and
Do their
do it.
natural thing.
They will just
Yeah,
naturally go and die.
I have to say the dying process does not seem to be a big issue for animals. They know it. They don't have the fear of it like people do. And a lot of times
No.
we worry, oh no, we don't want them to suffer. We need to, put them down quickly. Or, oh, did I do it? Is it time or whatever with, putting them down or whatnot. But that doesn't ever show up so far. It hasn't shown up. They just
I mean,
not a fear.
obviously, if you have a pet, I mean, my dogs don't like going to the vet, not one bit. So if I had to make that decision, which obviously I don't really want to think about, but at some point I'm going to have to one day, I would want to be with them if I had to go through the vet for that because Bella would be terrified of going in the vet and I wouldn't want her to be terrified. I'd rather pay more and for somebody to come out and for that to happen in my own home, for her own home, because that's where she loves and that's where she's comfortable. It doesn't obviously, when you've got a horse, it's in a different way, different
Yeah.
place. But you do find that, that let's say spiritually, they know what's going to happen and they have accepted it. It's us at the end of the
Yeah.
day that
Uh-huh.
has that. I mean, because a lot of the time our pets are our kids, aren't they? Or, like in some people who live alone, the cat or the dog or the bird might be their only thing that they have.
See,
And
I
that is
think,
one of the purposes that we
yeah.
found too, that sometimes their purpose is just to be that companion for people.
And that's what I was just about to say, because I know when I had to take my Bailey nearly a year ago, it was April time last year, to the vets, and I had to do that. I knew it was getting worse and it wasn't fair. I hated making that decision because it was my decision and I didn't want to make it. But I also kept looking into his eyes. And as spiritual people, as an animal communicator, it was hard because he was mine and I couldn't communicate as well as I'd like to with a stranger. But I knew, looking in his eyes, the sadness I see was more about the fact it was his time to go, and it was me. It was me that was struggling with it. But when I took him and I had to make that decision, I mean, I held him in my arms. I had to take him to the vet, but I had him in my arms, and my vet very kindly put him to sleep, actually as asleep first, so that I could hold him, so that he was relaxed. And then when we were ready, he did the final thing. But my vet was very good with me, and it was horrible. And I came home feeling so guilty and kept thinking, because he perked up in the morning as well. It looked really perky. And he's not the first dog I've put down. He really isn't. But I suppose I'm getting older and it was harder for me. But I think the perkiness, because the other dog did that as well, that I had to sadly put down. And I think they get perky because they actually think, finally, she's got the message. It's my time to go. But as a human, you're like, oh, no, look, they've got better. But they haven't got better because they've not got better. And I feel their purpose is, because my dog was not easy, was he, Polly? He was
lovely, though.
he was lovely. He had a really, really fun personality. He was quirky, but my God, he was hard work. He was like a naughty ADHD child. If he didn't like you, he'd show it. He didn't like men. But I managed him because I knew that he had anxiety, so I managed it. And he sort of helped me calm myself down, helping him. But I wouldn't have been without that dog for the 13 years I had him. So in a way, we learn off each other. And I think that was his purpose. His purpose was to teach me some kind of lesson in myself.
Yes, and we have seen that in the clearings too, where the purpose of the animal is to help the person progress with their emotions, to learn to be calmer or whatnot. So we've seen that as well. Yeah, I love that.
So it is fascinating, and it is hard because we hear so many stories of people that have lost their pets. And it is hard, and as pet people, you do feel sad. But something that's happened a lot, I mean, you've got probably lots of lovely land around you, haven't you, Sarah? So unlike us that are all in little boxes next to each other like sardines, me and Polly could walk to each other's houses, whereas obviously your countries, you've got to drive. We could walk around the corner. But a lot lately in our country, dogs are going missing. They're getting out. They're running out. They're getting out in the road. They're out in the parks. They're getting out the parks. They're running along our motorways, like your freeways. And they are sadly not always being found. And it seems to be happening more and more. And a lot of people with the horrible social media will say that people aren't looking after them properly and they're not caring for them properly. And that's not fair because those owners have got to deal with that. But me being me, because I am a bit of a Virgo head and I'm always overthinking these things, I wonder why it is happening a lot. And what
But is it, or because, I mean, look, I was born in 1970, do your math,
it's definitely
right?
happening a lot.
Oh, no, it's happening a lot. But back in the day, you didn't necessarily have to keep your dog on a lead everywhere. And not back in the day, dogs were just running around, you know what I mean? And they were. But now I think the thing is, I mean, it's like a lot of things. You hear back when we were kids, right? For example, nothing to do with animals. What sort of is. Sarah, you won't probably know this because it's a very English dodgy advert, but it was like this cartoon advert that said, it was a little boy and his cat called Charlie.
It was to
And
teach kids the Green Cross code.
and teaching the kids not to go off with strangers or taking sweets from strangers. But it was always like the cat was going "Row, row, 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 row," and then the boy went, Charlie says you mustn't ever go off with strangers. Now, back in the day, I didn't really take that seriously, and I was out from the age of 5 playing on the streets, playing down the park, playing in the woods at 5 years old. Right now, in a million years, my grandchild, who's 5, would not be going down to a park by himself and would not be going down there. You know what I mean? We were very lucky that nothing happened to us. But
you say that I wasn't allowed to go down the park at 5 years old. So
I was taking my brother in his pushchair down the park, not down the park, but down the road.
with under wraps and watched.
I was going down to my friend's house. It was like through an alleyway on my own at 6, right? And anyway, getting back to it, now you've got the internet, which we never had then, right? You just never knew what was
So
happening.
it's
You just like, you would go
publicising
and
more,
play.
yeah.
And it is publicised more. And then everybody shared it and everyone shared it again. I mean, we might be getting things that aren't even local, that are from like, I don't know, the Cotswolds or Yorkshire sometimes popping up. But I do feel that, you know, because everything is so massively publicised, and then it's shared and shared again and shared again and shared again. And then we've got a place around here where people go out with drones to find lost animals and things, haven't we, as well?
Yeah.
And I think it is just very
But
over.
I just feel lately, and because obviously now I haven't got my dog, I miss him, so it seems to pay more attention. There are more and more dogs disappearing in this area alone. What is spooking them to run off? All right, what is the purpose, their purpose, or the human's purpose for that to happen? Because when I find out the dog sadly has been found and it's obviously passed, it's so sad to read. And obviously we have got more cars on the road, and we're really like chock here. We drive like idiots here. Where I know when I used to be out in the States, you had a rule where you had to have quite a big distance between cars, but people in England just think they drive right up people's asses. So, you know, but I feel so sad for the owner. Like you said, the dogs aren't going to be upset that they've passed because they accept that. I feel so sad for the owner, and I just think, why is that? What is that trying to teach the human? What is that trying to teach the human if that is happening? Because you
Well,
do
it's
see
like
it. You see it.
any animal. I've been on, when I used to have horses, I can remember having this. Well, I'm not going to say the name, but it did sound like a bit of a working girl's name of the horse. Anyway, I remember being out on this horse, and I'd only just got it really, and she was fine in a group. So if you were riding in a group, but on her own, she was a nightmare. One day she might like something, she won't mind something, and then the next day she would. So a big van would go past one day and she'd be fine. Another day, it's like it's not fine, and then she'd end up like being uncontrollable, and I'm galloping down the side of a road or up to somebody's window. But I was used to have a very good seat and used to pretty much ride anything. But I mean, a horse, and I just caught myself there. A dog can be spooked, an animal can be spooked. I mean, the benefit of being on top of a horse is the fact that you possibly can regain control of it. And it's a very big thing to see. If you're seeing that horse galloping down a road without anybody on top, somebody's likely to try and get it or stop it. But I mean, I think it is a lot of media. It is. I don't feel like there's any big reason to it apart from.
Well, can you just ask them next time you both do a
Yeah.
session? Just ask. There's no reason behind it. Sarah,
Yeah, so
you've got
we've
horses, you've got dogs, and you've got cats. What else have you got?
and chickens
Your
And
I love
chicken.
chickens. Do you now, this is, because since obviously becoming a practitioner, do you walk around your animals, look at them and smile and know to yourself, especially with the work you and Polly have been doing, and look at them now? Do you feel that you have an even deeper connection with them, that you understand them more since doing this work?
It's such a great question because I do notice every time I've done one of the animal energy clearings on them, they react differently. I can see from them how much their mind is expanded, that they're like so excited that there's a way to communicate and so appreciative of the work that we've done to help them. I see it every time. Yeah. It's mind blowing, but it's interesting if I look at it differently. I don't know. I probably do as well. I was going to say we had a couple dogs that had talked about enjoying running off and being a hobo for a while. They said they called it a hobo. They actually really enjoyed that freedom for a while. Luckily, they didn't have. It did end up in a positive way, and they
Yeah.
were found and brought home again. But they enjoyed it. And then when you're saying like the purpose, I think you're asking the purpose for the people, right? Like why do they experience that sadness? And it's the same. Like I find that animals kind of accentuate what we learn just with people too. Animals live, a fraction of the time than we do, so we experience a lot of these things faster. So why do we experience sadness? What's the point of that? A lot of people say that we're here to experience emotions. Other places of incarnation don't have emotions like we do
No.
here. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't like that sadness either.
No.
No, wouldn't it be funny? No, you've just really made me think now. I wonder, like obviously we live on the earth. I wonder if like ETs have pets.
So that was going to be my next question. Oh my God, Polly, we seriously are. So we know in our work again that we remove devices. AI, my absolute pet hate, because I think AI has just gone out. It's just gone mad and it's dangerous. But anyway, and we remove mechanisms, and now people are watching and either switching off or thinking they're on a UFO channel. But we do that, and we've talked about other planetary lifetimes. We know that other people, some of the people that we've worked with, have had soul life somewhere else, not on Earth. It's a fascinating subject, and I probably 10 years ago wouldn't have believed that either, but we're doing it, so we know it's happening. So as you're talking about animals and that, and I'm actually sitting there thinking, I wonder if you're up on like Sirius or Andromeda and they got like robot dogs and cats walking around like you see on telly. Or have they got real dogs and cats that might just look a little bit different? Because if you was like, was it the cat? What is the cat? The Syrians who look like that.
The Lyrans.
The Lyrans, they look like cats. Have they got dogs or cats that look like humans? Now you've really got me thinking, and I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. My brain's going to be going, oh, there's another question to ask when you're doing the next clearing, or I might have to do it if we get anyone. But it is interesting, isn't it? We haven't so far picked up on any animals around people from another life. We always pick up on animals in this life or past life in this world, but we've not picked up any animals yet on another planet.
Yeah, but if you think, I mean, there's like, I know we're going completely off the track
We're
here,
not
but
really, because we are still
we're not.
doing this work with spirit release, and you're doing work with animals in spirit release, so it's still the same thing, because we are also researching. Every time we do a clearing, we are collecting data. We are researching. We see a change in the sort of parasites we remove. Do you see that with the animals? Sometimes there's a little bit of a trend of the same sort of parasite that is in people. So it's all data.
Yeah,
Isn't
the animals are so limited as to what they have. There's so few things.
No, so
yeah.
with humans, we could have quite a few things, but we do see we have a run of a certain type of interdimensional parasite in the same sort of area as well, and then they disappear and we got another one going on, and we find similar things with other parts that we remove, and like even some of the attachments sometimes have a bit of a theme going on. They look similar and then they change again. Now people are really sitting there thinking, what are they talking about?
Yeah. The people are so much more complicated.
Yeah. I mean,
it's amazing.
everyone we've done a clearing through together. I know Polly's worked with you a lot. She's worked with Matt. I've worked with Matt. We've sort of worked alongside Carolyn and John, who sadly couldn't. We were going to try and get them on today, but Carolyn's been really poorly. But we've worked privately with them. We've all been quite diverse in what we're doing, but it is interesting in the different things that we get, but then similarities. And when you think we're in different parts of the world working this, and we're not, and I think that's what people don't get. Me and Polly live round the corner from each other, but we still don't go and do this in each other's houses. We sit like we are doing now on a computer doing the work, and we have lost connection. We have lost it.
It makes sense. It's all energy. We don't. Yeah.
So it is.
Yeah, and plus the fact, I mean, we have done it in the same room if we're having a meeting or we were going to do the podcast and we had
having a meeting about all business ventures.
Yeah, but yeah, it is energy, and it actually works better because if you're going to be recording it anyway and things like that. Yeah, we were going to get Carolyn and John on with you, so have a big reunion party.
A reunion. Yeah.
But
that would be fun.
Yeah, but poor Carolyn's not been very well, so love to Carolyn.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is
Carolyn,
and it is an interesting. It is so interesting work, and when we go back to sitting in that hotel, nearly 2 years ago, and like Jane said at the beginning, Jane, bless her, didn't really know what was about to happen. I sort of felt like I did, and then turns out I learned a lot more than I ever knew. And if anybody wants to learn to be a qualified remote spirit release
practitioner,
make sure I got all the words right.
Could we say now spirit guided remote spirit release practitioner? What a mouthful that is. Have you noticed my light gone out? Some of the lights just switched off.
Oh, did it? Yeah, then please do contact Jono Webster and
Andy Porter
Andy Porter, because he's got Andy Surgeon. I was just getting confused about what was the surname was.
That's his business page, yeah.
And yeah, and look up the
Terry Towers.
um, Spirit Release Academy on Facebook. And if you are interested in becoming a medium or facilitator in this kind of work, please do contact them.
Well, when this goes out on YouTube, Polly, I should put the link for Sarah, and also I should put the link for Spirit Release Academy, because obviously we are all practitioners on that page. Are you on there, Sarah?
No, I'm not. I
Oh,
should.
no,
I haven't sent my info in. I should.
So we've been on the page for a while. So, well, pretty much since we qualified, I suppose. But you can find us on the academy. But obviously, like we said, we all work individually and we all work separately. Me and Polly have our own Facebook page called The Unburdened Soul, which is where we've been putting a lot of our spirit release reviews. And obviously, so we're trying to keep that separate because we've got different businesses as well. We're trying not to get too, we don't want people confusing that the fact we are always working together, because we're not, but we do.
You're actually two separate people?
It does feel like we are actually working a lot together, because again, like she said, when we went and did that, I sat there and go, and even driving up, I went, what am I doing here? Why am I, she went, oh, shut up, just shut up. And I was going to her trance class at one point. She was teaching me trance. I did Jono's trance online with him, but I was still going, I don't know why I'm doing this. And every night we went back to our room after we'd caused some havoc and was making everyone giggle downstairs, we literally just sat laid in bed talking about the events of the day. It was the strangest, wasn't it?
I don't think we slept very much that
We
week.
didn't sleep very much, but what a lot I learned. What a real lot I learned. But what, like you said, what a lot you learned. And I thought you knew everything about stuff like that, and she clearly didn't. So I couldn't copy her work. She didn't actually know it all.
I think when you are on a course like that, I mean, there's obviously things that you would perhaps think of because you've watched horror films and you've watched this and you've watched that, and you've watched Carrie and you've watched what do you call it? The Exorcist
Damien.
and Damien, yeah. And then there's
They're really going to book us up now, aren't they?
Yeah. But you think that's because that's what you've been exposed to.
Yeah.
That's what you would perhaps think. Whereas there is so many different types of attachments and
every person should have a clearing. Every person should.
Yeah.
There's so much benefit for everybody. It's like a life hack. I don't know if that's a word that makes sense in England, but like it makes it easier. It makes your life easier.
100%. It does make life. I mean, for me now, if anyone comes to me for a reading or even psychic counselling, I'm more assessing them first, thinking, do they need a clearing? Because also that protects our energy. I've even said to people, I don't think you need a reading. I think you might need this. And I'll explain it to them. And I will stop and say, if you want to go ahead with this, we won't do the reading. Because, again, not good for my business because I'm not making no money. But I do it because I think that's more important. And if people actually just had that and felt a bit better about it, they would start looking at things differently. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen again if you don't work with yourself, but the difference in what a clearing can do, and I know I'm from personal experience, and I was open about that on the course. I used the clearings eventually to help my own child because everything else wasn't working. And although we had to do a few on him, it did work. I'm not just saying it because I do it. I've actually benefited and experienced it in my own family because I've seen what it can do. We've got a client that we do regularly, not regularly, a bit too regular than I like, because he doesn't know what's doing him actually, but because the mum said we're cheaper than therapy, and we're doing
and it does more.
And we're doing more.
It does more.
And I mean, that was at first I thought that's a bit weird, but actually, okay, yeah, if it's working. My argument there is tell him, for God's sakes, tell him, because it will work more. But that was our answer. You're better than therapy.
Yeah, it really is. It's amazing.
If only we could sort ourselves out. I mean, we do, because we have to keep ourselves very...
As we know, like we talked earlier, though, about sometimes doctors are needed and sometimes vets are needed. Yes. We do have to emphasise that even though somebody might have a very successful clearing, there still might be things that they need to talk about or go through.
The combination is amazing.
It is a combination. It's a real combination of things. And it is, as quirky as it might sound to someone out there that's listened to our show today, it is a very beneficial practice. And although at the time I didn't know why I was doing it, and I was even looking at the budget thinking, what am I doing? it is probably one of the most worthwhile certificates I've ever got, because the work from it has outweighed how it's helped people, and that's good enough for me. Is there anything, ladies, you'd like to add? Because we've been on an hour. We don't normally do an hour, Polly. How exciting!
I know.
I told you we could talk for
Yeah,
days.
I mean, Spirit Release, we've been touching on it for months now, but we haven't really talked about it. And we could talk about that subject for days, but we don't want to give too much away. And obviously, your animal stuff is fascinating. I haven't really known a lot about that. So there's been a few things I've
it's been able to help the animals a lot, and the people,
and the people
of the animals too, which is so cool. I mean, that's
and maybe
what
if you come back on again, Sarah, we can all find out if there's cats and dogs and birds.
Right? There's so many good
there
stories.
There is already. There's the lyrons, which are cat-like. You've got avians,
Yes,
blue avians,
I
which
need
are
to know.
bird-like.
I need to know what their pets are, Polly, not what they look like.
Insectoids. You've got.
Okay, well, on our next show, we'll do UFOs, shall we? And an extraterrestrial planet. We're going that way. Sarah, it has been lovely having you on. Thank you for joining us. I haven't seen your face for a long, long time, so it's been nice to see you. Hopefully, we can get you back on, and we'll get Carolyn and John back on, because they are a great couple. And we're also different in how we work and what we do as well, so that's even better.
Yes, it's so neat.
And like I said, this will go out on YouTube on Sunday, 11 o'clock UK time. I will put a thing up for you as well on Facebook, and we will obviously put a link up for the Spirit Release Academy, because without them, we wouldn't all be sitting here being practitioners and acting really weird and blowing people's minds.
And if anybody at home has a theory on whether aliens have pets, extraterrestrials have pets, and what they might look like, please do let us know, because we would be interested in that.
Yeah, let's see how many people comment under that at the show tomorrow for that one then. Right, on that note...
It's either that or the men in the white coats will be coming to get us all.
No, we don't need men in white coats. That's why our work is so important, because we stop that happening. Right, we will say goodbye to everybody. Thank you, Sarah. And me and Polly will be back in a fortnight. Remember, we're doing these shows fortnightly now. We're not on every week. So we will see you in a fortnight, people. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.